Hello, my name is Dean Nguyen, and my topic would be musculoskeletal disorders. So, what are musculoskeletal disorders? Well, musculoskeletal disorders are conditions affecting the body's nerves, muscles, and supporting structures, and these supporting structures could include your hip bones and your lower spine. And what are the usual causes of these musculoskeletal disorders are usually the overworkings of distinct parts of your bodies. So, for example, let's say you're carrying a heavy object and suddenly your back starts to hurt. So you have to put down the object and caress your back. Just caressing your back already signifies a point to yourself that you indeed have some sort of musculoskeletal disorder just because of the overbearing work you're having right now. And another cause of musculoskeletal disorders is usually by the natural process of aging, where your body just starts to decay and soon you end up having brittle joints. Your back starts hurting from now in time, and then that's the point where you just have the disorder already. So how does musculoskeletal disorders actually affect our daily lives? Well, they pose a problem in many jobs that involve hard labor, such as construction workers, restaurateurs, and factory workers. And you can see as you walk past down the streets that you see these construction workers oftentimes hold up their heads and breathe out, sweating a lot. These are signs that probably mean that the construction worker is having a lot of stress and could have a musculoskeletal disorder. And this also occurs a lot in people who are actually older, above their 50s. As you can see, many hold canes, walkers, and are in wheelchairs simply because the body is already decaying to the point where it just can't support certain muscles and supporting structures. Stress, as I pointed back with the construction workers, restaurateurs, and factory workers, is also a factor to these musculoskeletal disorders. And what it does is it actually enhances those disorders, as examples by the Brussels model, as one's neuromuscular control is actually impaired due to the large workload, such as construction workers carrying large pieces of wood and restaurateurs bustling around the restaurant. And that large workload itself is reinforced by the stress that they have of making sure they applied the piece of wood correctly or they delivered the order in time. And along with that, these kinds of jobs also can enforce a kind of lower mood because of all the overbearing stress that it provides. And this lower mood can indeed bring about more musculoskeletal conditions that the individual is himself or herself does not want. So, what's the problem with musculoskeletal disorders in our modern time? Well, the population of older people are actually growing since studies show that baby boomers or people who have been born after World War II are basically getting older and still living longer, and older people that are born then after are still growing older and longer, therefore increasing population of older people. And our labor jobs are increasing because unemployment is slowly going down. All of this causes us to believe that body pain is actually very common. And when something is common, it becomes very desensitized. Such as when people talk about cancer. When you talk about cancer, you immediately thought, of course, it is a bad thing to talk about. But cancer is something that you see every day, so it's not something that we can do anything about or we should talk about on social media and all that because it's really just so common that it's just a little thing. We just believe that it's a little thing. And that's something that really creates a problem in our society. So, to let you know the reality of musculoskeletal disorders, in our average American community, around 50% of the older people population, above the age of 50, I would say, experience a form of musculoskeletal pain. And that is a large number in terms of being almost half of the population in your own community, perhaps, who experience such a tragedy. And in places such as an assembly factory or basically any hard labor job, around 42% of accounted lost days for employees are due to musculoskeletal disorders. And this is probably due to the fact that they're just working on these trailers, for example, in below, that they experience hip pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, and back pain, that they had to call the day off simply because it's just an overbearing job that they're creating such large structures. So, where would musculoskeletal disorders actually occur mostly in? Well, musculoskeletal disorders actually occur mostly around the upper limbs, necks, shoulders, and lower back. But they can also occur as the leg as well due to continuous aging and daily physical experiences such as taking care of your children, taking care of your wife, caring for your work, going around, turning your necks. All these activities will increase your chance of gaining some sort of musculoskeletal disorders, no matter how simple it is. And in fact, the legs would be the part of the body that would actually have musculoskeletal disorders frequently just because it's the part of the body that is moving constantly since the body is walking around, needs to getting to places. So for this slide, I will be talking about a common musculoskeletal disorder known as tendonitis. And tendonitis is actually caused by just simple repetitive action, just as you writing a pencil. And then you feel that strong pain and you just kept going and going, but then you just eventually get the pain even worse and worse. And it's also caused by just common injuries such as you falling down and then probably breaking your wrist. And what it is caused by is just basically your tendons getting strained, which is a common part of the human body. And tendonitis actually occurs mostly around athletes, since athletes are the ones that are mostly stretching out their muscles and walking around and working out. And how tendonitis feels is pretty much a dull ache, and the area that you feel the pain will feel very tender. For this slide, I'll be talking more about a certain musculoskeletal disorder known as osteoarthritis, which is sometimes called wear and tear arthritis. And this form of musculoskeletal disorder actually affects quite a number of Americans, as it affects 27 million of them. And what osteoarthritis is the breakdown of cartilage in certain parts of your body, such as your knees, hips, lower back, and small joints in your fingers, that as the cartilage continues to break down, it increases bone-to-bone contact. And what bone-to-bone contact causes is severe pain to the point where the individual himself or herself does not want to move that part of the body, and therefore forces them to not have participation in certain activities in their daily lives. And this form of musculoskeletal disorder is actually common in older individuals. Not saying that it doesn't occur in younger individuals though. And this is probably due to the fact that older individuals experience life more and therefore do more physical activities, and physical activities therefore increase decay in certain muscles, and that decay is what leads to osteoarthritis. So to end off, I just want to let you all know that it is important and that you should be aware of the fact that musculoskeletal disorders are important problems in our modern world, that it does occur in many daily lives, and that when you see those, that you should be able to assist them whenever they need help, because this is something that is indeed common, but you should know that it's still a problem. And another fact that certain musculoskeletal disorders are indeed expensive. So those who are still having the pain are probably because they can't afford to have treatment for their musculoskeletal disorders. So just like cancer, this is common, but it's still a problem. Thank you.